Hey everyone, I'm Cameron Robertson, CEO of 3PL Systems. I also have our co-host Michael Sternberg, Director of Sales at 3PL Systems, joining us today. And I want to take a moment to introduce our special guest today, Ryan Rogers, CEO and founder of TextLocate. Thanks for joining us today, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, do you mind telling us a little bit about how you got started in the freight industry and how you came about to start TextLocate and maybe your beginnings?
Yeah, well, a little bit of this has to do with age, so it kind of hurts recently. But so February, I remember this day as like my first day at US Express, February 9th of 99. So 25 years in the industry just this year. And so started fresh out of school. I'm local Chattanooga, Tennessee guy, looking for what to do, and ended up running across US Express and started there in financial, metrics and analysis, and kind of grew from there in transportation. Spent 16 years at US Express on the financial side, and then ran their truckload brokerage division for a while and a few other pieces, and then kind of transitioned out, did some consulting in logistics tech, and then after that, and had a little time off with a non-compete, and then went to work for Amazon, and then ran procurement for North America in the truckload space, which loved that. Enjoyed it for a just fantastic opportunity as they were building things out, before the relay network and things like that came about. And then had an opportunity to stay here in Chattanooga with Covenant Transport as Chief Transformation Officer, which I ran M&A, tech, innovation, and then ended up, a gentleman retired and started running their, help oversee their brokerage division there for a while. And then so that kind of is what led me, had an industry and led me to kind of start TextLocate from having that background and seeing it firsthand.
Man, so you might know a little bit about the space. You may have some
probably more than I want to remember
in some years. So no, that's awesome. I mean, it provides a lot of relevance for who Ryan Rogers is and who the man behind the tool is at TextLocate. So I think this isn't maybe a low-hanging fruit of a question, but what were the key things from your experience in all those years working for those larger companies and running brokerage teams and looking at logistics techs? There's obviously something you saw missing, right? Something that you say, hey, TextLocate's going to fix X, Y, and Z. So what was that, or what were those things that happened?
Yeah, I think, and it's cool to see where we have become today, but the problem that I identified was two-end. It was two-ended with the broker. So day to day, the brokers, I would see our team members, the frustration of just picking up the phone, calling drivers, getting unanswered phone calls, trying to process that. I saw where, the drivers were frustrated with technology and things like that. And so I came, me and I've got two co-founders on the tech side. I'm not the engineer. Those guys do all the engineering, but I looked at it and said, okay, there's got to be a way to make this just easier. How do we simplify this and not necessarily compete with the apps, but simplify the process of driver communication via location, chats, images, all that kind of stuff, and just make a simpler process that's interactive for both like a logistics professional and with a truck driver. How do we get those two to meet together? In my background on both logistics and then the asset side, kind of getting to know and understand a day in the life of a trucker and what technology and what tools they're using and all those kind of things. So it was really the need to enhance and improve communication as real time as possible.
So one of the things that we see a lot of is there's a lot of applications that you can download in the industry that help with tracking, whether that be a proprietary app through an asset-based company or some third-party app that may exist like P44 or MacroPoint. How does TextLocate differentiate themselves from that? Because we hear app fatigue all the time in the industry. What are you guys doing differently to combat that, and how are you getting drivers to adopt your technology?
Well, really, everything we do, we start with the driver first. Like, what kind of experience does a driver want to have, and put ourselves in their shoes. And those are all great apps. Like, we don't see them in, we've talked to others, but we don't really compete with those apps. What we're doing is we're competing with your traditional phone call. Whether that's a phone call like this or a phone call, you see those things. Is it iPhone or old school? Which one is it nowadays? Again, 25 years in the industry, I used to have to pick one up like this.
You had one of these too, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. A little headset too. That was when you were cool. You finally like got hands free. But really, it's a matter of like reducing the number of phone calls. So we complement, we tie in alongside of those. So if your driver's tracking via one of the apps and it's working really well, then what we do is we will enhance from a communication. Things and activities beyond, I always say kind of beyond the blue dot. And then if for some reason that there is a subset of drivers that's not using the app and they're frustrated or they can't download it or they have trouble with password and they just get frustrated with that, then what we do is intermittently we'll put in location request all via text message. And so there's no password, nothing to download. All they have to do is read the text. They click a little link and hit an OK button to authorize a one-time location. So that's another thing that's a little bit different with us is that we're not a constant tracking, we're a location update. I know most people want full constant tracking and I understand why they want that. But some of the drivers, they're professionals and they feel like, hey, I'm going to be there on time or I'll let you know. I'm a professional driver and they don't mind giving breadcrumbs with a location update here and there throughout. So the way we have made it so easy, that's what's made it, beneficial for the driver to say, hey, if I'm not willing to use the app or if there's a different location update needed, I can literally just click the link and I don't have to worry about being constantly tracked. Are they, is somebody following me after the fact? Or are they looking at where my location history is going constantly? It's just a one time. So it makes it, it lowers their guard into making this super efficient and effective for them.
So that initial text one time, click on the link, provide us a location update. Was that the first iteration of TextLocate? Was that like the primary function that you guys started with? Nice.
Yeah, we started. We're kind of we're not VC backed. We're completely bootstrapped. We built it ourselves, self-funded everything. And what we really want to do is bring an MVP to market because I was confident in what I felt like the market needed, but you never know. The market could have said, hey, this is doesn't make sense for our industry. We don't really care. We don't want that. It's not important. So what I was like, let's just get an MVP. Let's get it on the market. And that's what we started with. And when we went live, it was in July of 2021. And when we went live with it, I was able to secure a couple of customers the first month. And then each month we started gaining ground. And it really kind of worked out. So then what we started doing is listening to our customers and listening to drivers and be like, okay, what do you want next? What do you need? And then we started fine tuning those needs. And literally today, 90+% of what we're building every day is customer feedback, customer request. And again, we also don't build super shiny objects because we're trying to be as effective and efficient in what do drivers really want behavior. Because sometimes I'll be like, okay, I get that, but think about it from a driver's perspective. You want all of this, but if I can't get a driver to reply or respond, I can't even get you pieces of that. So we try to focus on, okay, what's small bites, simplicity, how would a driver interact versus you don't want to send a driver no different than us. You don't want to send them 3 or 4 messages or requests at a time and inundate them. You want to be very conscientious to, hey, they're driving, they're going to do this when they're stopped and safe. But don't ask them 5 questions when you really just, want to make a difference or stage them in at certain times and certain activity points. And also it's great for reminders. They don't have, I'm sitting here with a laptop and an iPhone and a big screen and notepads and all that. They don't have that. They've just got the phone. But instead of trying to leave, just call them and say, hey, don't forget to check the reefer temperature, drop a text over and remind them. So at your next convenient safe stop, check your reefer temp, stuff like that.
If I understand your technology correctly, it goes above and beyond just text messaging, right? Like they're able to send you pictures of documents. Is that part of your application?
Yeah, they can actually, so they can do the location side, they can do two-way chat, they can do images. We do things like, proof of delivery. It could be if there's a claims item or detention or maybe damage to the trailer or tractor, whatever they want to share back, they can do that very simply and easily. We also have the ability to location updates. Also, they can give status updates with, at pickup, in transit, delivered, stuff like that. they're able to give that kind of information as well. And then everything we do, since we're in logistics 100%, we don't work in any other industry. We're 100% focused on logistics. We're ex freight brokers in this market. We understand the pains and the frustration. And so what we do is we tie everything we do is tied back to a load ID. That way you can tie that primary communication and information all collectively back and integrate with, obviously, during integration, like we're working with you guys, where it can integrate straight in and provide all these updates directly into the to your system.
So Ryan, when you came out here and you were nice enough to come to lunch with us and we sat down, I remember talking to you, and one of the things you said was, we really transitioned from just another tracking application to a driver communication tool, right? Which encompasses so much more. And I'm sure that's an ethos that it was easy for you to understand, but I'm sure you've, tried to instill that in the rest of your team from a product perspective and a marketing and sales perspective and everybody. So can you talk to us a little bit about how that transition mentally happened for you, and then disseminating that across your team so that everybody could kind of think bigger and really align with your guys' mission and vision there?
Yeah, a lot of that is, and you're right. When you kind of start one direction, you start, growing from that. How do you keep focusing? So it was number one. Don't forget, I did come to Southern California, beautiful weather. So you didn't twist my arm too bad to get to visit you guys. But in doing so, it really came through the fact that we knew we wanted to kind of start with the location side and then kind of grow from there. So it's really around. It's totally like it can be tough because you have this like white space that now the art of everything is possible because the two-way chat. I mean, it's hard to get specific data pulled from all that, but you can have free-form conversations. We have templated messages, so it is a little bit of a transition there. But what we found out that I did not realize, even by thinking about all this stuff, is how it makes it so easy for the driver to engage. So and no different than if we're traveling or we're going somewhere, if somebody can send you a text with a pointed question versus calling you, like I love to talk to people on the phone and I still think it's important and enjoy that. But there's plenty of times that you just need simple questions. Can it come over via text? So it makes it easier. And what I found is that the responsiveness for drivers was so good, even when you didn't ask them for questions. When we were asking for updates, they would just voluntarily start providing information back. Hey, things are going good. I'm en route, all that kind of things. So the activity increased. And it was because, I mean, if you think about it, I don't have to get my phone out. I don't have to find the phone number for whoever I'm hauling the freight for. I don't have to find the rep's name. I don't have to remember the load ID. I can just easily respond. I can do it when I want to. I don't have to be like, I've got to call now and hopefully somebody answers. And it's the same thing in reverse that we like with being able to communicate with the driver. We can send out information, provide details, and it doesn't have to be, with a text, with, things like email and text and all that, is you can do it, when it's good for either party. And so it makes it very, very simple.
Makes sense. So shifting gears slightly, over the next 10 years, how do you foresee this app changing? Do you think it's going to stay relatively the same over the next 10 years? And might be a really tough question to ask because we have a lot of technology just kind of taking off in the AI ML direction with GPT and all of that. What are your thoughts, over the next 5-10 years of where this is going to go for communication with drivers?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, like I said, 25 years in the industry. I mean, back when I first started US Express, I mean, there was people still in 1999, there was plenty of people that didn't have cell phones. They were still making 800 number call-ins and things like that, or they'd go to a phone booth. And of course, that's all gone away. So I do think the evolution is going to continue to happen to make the communication easier and more effective. I mean, it just depends on if we can, really consolidate some of that communication. So that's where what we like to do is play nice with everybody with an API perspective. So we can all do what we're best at. And if that's ELDs grow and that connectivity grows, then great. We want to be connected with an ELD. So if there's ad hoc information, you're out of the truck, you're away, whatever it may be, you can still have us as an overflow option within with text and back and forth. So I don't know where it's going to head. I mean, I don't know that if we look back at the flip phone days that we would have really thought that we have a fully smartphone, stronger than 10x or 50x our computers we had back then, and that was 25 years ago. So I don't know where it's headed, but I think it's going to be exciting. There's always new ways to make connectivity, but I think what's going to be important is the industry as a whole trying to push a more connective environment. We see it too often that systems don't talk together, and it's harder to communicate. And of course, with a lot of new technology, we're lucky that when we started, we could do everything in the cloud. We've got full APIs, so we can connect. Others are still, working on their systems of being able to create those connective tissue as well. But the more we have that, I think it just makes the whole industry better. The flow is better. The information's more in real time based on, activity events. Like one of the areas that I get really excited about that I would help, when it's like, what problem do you really want to solve? Well, I don't know that we're saying, hey, we can solve this, but something I'd really like to help with drivers is the driver lifestyle of being able to, if there's changes in the load, like for example, if the schedule changes or the schedule's delayed, that we are able to communicate that to the driver as quickly as possible. So they don't have to be the quote only one first to know, but if it could be let known at the same time with their carrier, with other people, so you're able to let them know as soon as possible, practical, with systematic, instead of like, hey, here's an email about a schedule that got delayed 4 hours, you're on the next slot now. And then that makes it to the next person, email gets sent, and then finally somebody calls the driver and tells them that. Whereas if we could have done that via API at the very beginning stages, then that driver could have changed their pattern. We forget that that's just an email or a text or a phone call for us. For them, it could be the difference of stopping at a truck stop, being able to buy fuel, top off fuel, get something to eat, go to the restroom, take a shower, versus they show up early and they're doing a good job and they show up early and there's a change and they sit on the back 40 without any amenities. It's a major difference, which helps the whole industry as a whole if we can help try to improve that communication, at least the timing of that.
So I want to kind of back up a little bit here, but I think it's relevant to the answer you just gave on where you see things going. So predicting these things is damn near impossible. However, I think one of the things that you mentioned was so much of what y'all do at TextLocate is driven by customers and the feedback and what they want. And I think a lot of what you're saying is that the market's going to do the same thing with where we go in the future. So can you talk a little bit about any sort of strategies that y'all implement over there for gaining customer feedback? Are you actively pursuing it? How do you vet things, and how do you then put those into the decisions in the product roadmap?
Yeah, so we're always quote listening. So we record, we document everything that like customers are asking us to look at and where they're having problems. So we stay very closely in tune with the market, what's happening, what are people thinking about, what are they doing, so that we can be close to that. And then we ask that question all the time. I was just on a customer call before this. Hey, what else can we do? What are other problems you're having right now? May have nothing to do with us, but are there ways that we could connect together to help facilitate that? So we're always actively engaging. We also have a feedback button in our dashboard. You just click it, cool, fill it out, sends it right over. I get every one of those. It goes to our support team, and we get I see every one of them. So we're making it available. We're being active with it, and we're doing it. And now I can't make every customer request as fast as I want it to, but
we've never
as fast as
yeah, exactly,
right?
Because most of them are are good ideas. The ones that aren't, when I say maybe not as great of an idea, they're actually good ideas too. It's like, I don't know if I can solve that one, because there are still complexities in our industry that you can't really, you don't have a way to solve. But we keep a list. We put, we kind of have a ticketing system too. So we're looking at them, and then what we do is kind of evaluate. We kind of rank them with, okay, which ones are the big items that we want to build, that we can build that takes time. Which ones can we do quickly, and then we try to do a blended mix of a little bit of both. That way we get some quick wins, and then we do a little bit longer development work as well.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff around that ourselves, and we talk a lot about it because near and dear to our hearts is our clients are our driving force, and so we do something like that's called Heads Together, where we bring all of our clients on a virtual call or in person, and we actually unpack what are we doing bad, and we want to hear that first.
Oh, always.
And what do we need to fix? but what do you want to see in the future, and what's going to have the most impact to the bottom line? And one of the questions we always ask is, when you're asking for an enhancement, what is the ROI on it? It doesn't have to be a financial ROI. How much time is it going to save you to do other things? So there's always that weighing of what's the real impact to your organization if we're going to build this. And a lot of the times when you ask that question, it makes them rethink what they're asking for. And sometimes they'll say, you know what, you're right. It doesn't really have any impact. I thought about it in the moment. I don't think we should do it after like unpacking ourselves. So
Yeah.
no, that it's really important to definitely listen to all your clients. Mike, anything else on your side?
Yeah. I just want to piggyback on that real quick, because this is something Cameron and I have been, spitballing this topic a lot recently. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the most successful companies are obsessive over their customer needs, right? So many people get caught up in thinking they know better, and like, I'm smarter than my customer. I know what my customer needs. I'll build this and then they will need it or they will want it. It's like, dude, it doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what Cameron wants. It matters what the customer wants. It doesn't matter what Ryan wants. It matters what TextLocate. Oh, yeah. IT cool. Let's tell that story real quick. So prospect, actually now a customer. But actually, we met him at TIA last year. I know we talked about that. We'll see you out there. That'll be good.
Yeah. See you at TIA.
Meet this guy at TIA. Decide we're going to talk. Finally get a meeting with him. We get down to like the final steps and contract details and all that kind of stuff when we're talking about future updates and maintenance. And he goes, Mike, look, I got to be honest. One of the things I'm worried about is that you guys push something out that's just IT cool, but it doesn't mean anything to me. And I was like, what do you mean by IT cool? He goes, well, you IT guys think that certain shit's cool that I don't think is cool. And so just be aware of that. And we never forgot it because it makes so much sense, right? And we've been guilty of it. We'll come up with something in the lab and customers are going to love this, and we build it and we launch it and no one adopts it, right? I hope you've never had that experience, Ryan. You're probably smarter than that. But yeah, IT cool is a thing, right? And IT cool we avoid as much as we can because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think is cool. It doesn't matter what Cam thinks cool. The customer thinks it's cool. They're the ones that pay our bills. And so they're the ones that really guide the ship. And so you've got that in spades. You kind of hit the nail on the head, right? It's that they drive everything.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Yeah, we definitely, the majority, we do have some things that we tinker with. You got to have a little bit of innovation.
Of course.
Some things you do. But yeah, you're exactly right. I've had it plenty of times in the past, like you develop something or you hear from a user, oh, I have to have this, and this, and you build it all. And then, they are the only ones using it, and then they may fall out of favor on it. So yeah, and it's a lot of development work. I mean, you're going to have that sometimes, but yeah, we try to do the same thing, take a step back and say, is this really going to be effective?
You're spot on. Any final thoughts that you have for us, Ron? I think we only got a few minutes left here. Want to make sure you get a last few thoughts in if you need them.
For us, I mean, really what we're trying to do is also tee up the environment from an automation perspective. I know a lot of people talk about that. We don't try to have the very complex automation. We try to have simple automation, again, that solves opportunities. But I think being more connectivity with APIs is really good. I would really challenge everybody to be as open-minded as possible to connect with others. There's a lot of questions out there as people talk about ChatGPT and products like that. I think there's a good place for all of those products. We're a little hesitant to go too far deep in when it comes to communication, just because truck drivers see that really quickly. Like I always encourage people, text them like you're texting your best friend, hey, what's up? How you running? Things like that. They want to see and feel that simplicity, but I do think there's some automational environment opportunities to at least kind of prompt some questions, again, provide follow-up, things like that. Probably a lot like what you guys are developing in your system of where does it make sense to use those things. And then I will say things like ChatGPT has been awesome for people to get connected to our APIs and things like that, because it's kind of becoming a little bit more simple to do that than it has in the past.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, GPT, Mike and I talk about this a lot. When people start utilizing it for communication, it's not personable at all. It's written in a very specific way, and you can pretty much read right through it that this person didn't even write this. This was written by AI.
It feels
So
robotic. Yeah, and when
it feels
you
very
when
robotic. It's not a communication. It's
yeah, and when it
so
feels
we're
robotic
against it
is
from
when
that standpoint.
yeah, when it feels robotic, drivers shut down on you. They don't want to
That,
do that, or they get blown up. I mean, it's even important. I stress a lot of how long is the message, and I don't even worry about how long. I'm like, how big does it look like on the screen? If it's like this big, it's maybe not enough.
Makes
If
a lot of
it's
sense.
like this, too big, just right, gets their attention. No different than it would for me. Kind of in the same method as well, and just always trying to be very personable. I mean, the drivers have a tough job. I mean, if you haven't been out there, you don't know what it's like. I actually have not been on a ride along. I probably should have years ago, but I've been to a lot of truck stops, a lot of truck terminals, talked to a lot of drivers, and you can tell it's a tough lifestyle. And I mean, I know when I drive long distances, I don't know how they do it. I'm like, this is amazing that, but they get up every day and do a tough job. And, they're in a truck. They don't have access to, restrooms and showers and facilities like we do, and constantly on the go. So think a driver every time you get a chance to say that
for sure.
or see one.
For sure. Ryan, how do listeners get a hold of you? How can people best reach out?
It's pretty easy. We got a simple little website at textlocate.com. You can find us TextLocate as well on LinkedIn pretty quickly. Feel free. My email is pretty easy. Just Ryan, RYAN at textlocate.com. And all of our information is there. If you want to, check out the product, we've got a free version that you can just sign up and start using immediately. You can set up time with one of our sales teams, and we can kind of give you a walkthrough with a quick little demo. And we have both a dashboard that you can set up quickly, and then we have a full API, robust API that you can connect with as well.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us today, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Thanks for having me on.
Doing, and we look forward to having you guys inside of our environment. Appreciate you.
Coming soon. Really appreciate it. It's going to be exciting.
Talk to you soon, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
See you guys. Thank you.
All right. Any final thoughts, Cam?
No, not from my side. I mean, it's always it's interesting seeing at the end there talking about a little bit about Chat GPT, which you and I talk a lot about, and automation. And there are places for automation, and then there are places where there has to be that human element that comes into play. Otherwise, what's the point? If I'm going to be dealing with your company as someone as a purchaser of your product, I want to be able to deal with people. I want to be able to talk with people. I don't want to talk to AI and ML. So AI definitely has its place, and we're going to be doing stuff with it here in the future. But
let's do an episode on it in the near future. Yeah, we'll unpack it. People will probably tell me I'm wrong, but that's okay. It wouldn't be the first time. All good. So awesome. Well, Ryan Rogers is a great dude. I know a lot of people in the industry know him and respect him, and it's for a good reason, right? The guy knows his stuff, and he's been around. Yeah. So, you want to pull up the graphic? Who do we have next week? We've got. Do you have it available? Or
I don't have it.
Keep talking to give you more time.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's Lindsay Watt, VP of Product from Parade, will be joining us next Friday.
Cool.
At 9:00. We're excited to have him on, and I think that's it.
Yeah. Everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for joining in. We'll see y'all next Friday.
See you guys.